The demands of a modern mother are plenty. Most moms must work for wages, most must do childcare, and most manage a good portion of the household. And today's digital devices can sometimes make all of this easier and allow us to get things done and be available for everyone who needs us, whether that's our partners, our kids, our bosses, caregivers, and so forth. But tech distraction is a real thing, and it not only affects our well being as parents, but also the well being of the people, the kids we are raising. In this video, we are going to focus on the benefits of digital minimalism for parents and how you can be more intentional with your time with digital technology while still be connected and accessible to those that need you. In the end, we want to be better parents and we want to instill good technology habits for our kids to learn from. My goal with this video is to help you reconsider if you are using your devices in a way that best fits your values and is the best use of your limited and precious time. Now, I am not perfect, and I've learned a lot over the years about how our devices and digital technology affect us. We are all navigating a new world where our attention is a commodity. In the first part of this 3 video series, we covered the basics of the digital attention economy and how that is keeping us in a perpetual state of distraction and causing an unhealthy relationship with our devices. We then covered the definition of digital minimalism and ways to do a digital declutter. Here's a quick recap of what digital minimalism is. So, what exactly is digital minimalism? Well, it is a term that was popularized by author and computer scientist Newport. In his book of the same name, he defines digital minimalism as a philosophy of technology use in which you focus your online time on a number of carefully selected and optimized activities that strongly support things you value. And then you miss out happily on everything else. It takes effort to try to minimize your digital use. A big part because you have to figure out what you will do with your time when you get off the technology. Thanks for joining me today. My name is Catherine Agupjan, and here at Sisters for Fi, I cover topics on personal finance, minimalism, sustainability, and motherhood. Because at the intersection of all of those is where we can find life that is fulfilling and leaves an impact for ourselves and future generations. I started my minimalism journey before the baby arrived. I personally was struggling to find a balance between being online and being present. When my daughter arrived, I continued to have those same struggles. I wanted to document and share this beautiful, growing human, but yet be present front and center to experience her growth. This is why I believe digital minimalism is a journey. You absolutely have to keep at it so that you can modify it as your needs and wants change, and of course, as the demands of life change for you too. So, no one is going to be perfect when it comes to digital minimalism, and I really just encourage you to try it out. Try doing a digital declutter, try stepping away from social media, and see what life has to offer you. In the end, you could go back or you can make modifications to make use of digital technology for yourself instead of being used by it. Let's begin with 4 major benefits of digital minimalism for parents. The first one is it can help reduce sleep deprivation. Now, one of the hallmarks of being a new parent is unfortunately sleep deprivation. A new baby means new routines, new challenges, and definitely new sleeping patterns. When I had my daughter, I was already running on a sleep deficit. I had such bad heartburn in the later stages of my pregnancy that I could not sleep well. So I resorted to sleeping on the couch in this weird elevated way. to at least get some sleep. Now, on the day that I delivered, my labor pain started at around 4 a.m., but I didn't deliver until 8 p.m. that night. So I still could not get any sleep, let alone catch up on it. And I think most mothers start their journey into parenthood with this sleep deficit. Now, research has confirmed that sleep deprivation can affect your mood, memory, judgment, family well being, and healthcare utilization. Research also confirms that exposure to screens and prolonged use of social media and other devices can delay bedtime and affect the duration of restorative sleep. Given all of this, it makes sense that taking on some aspect of digital minimalism can help reduce sleep deprivation and improve the overall well being of both mothers and fathers, and maybe in turn improve their parenting as well. I've definitely been there. It's so easy to take out your phone in the middle of a feed during the day or at night and scroll through your social media feeds. It's also easy if the baby has fallen asleep on you and you want to multitask and get things done. But we do have to be a bit more mindful of how we use our phones during this very precious time. When you reduce digital technology consumptions, it can lead you to focus on more value added activities like sleeping, which can lead to better judgment, less stress, and better decision making, which has a way of trickling down to the people around you. So, reconsider your use of technology devices when you are with your child or with the baby. If that impacts your sleep, it might be time to lessen your use of that or get off the phones earlier. The next benefit of reducing technology use is that it can also reduce solitude deprivation. If you've never heard of this before, don't worry, I'm going to explain what it is and I'm going to help you figure out if you are experiencing this. So I didn't know this was a thing either, but it is mentioned in Cal Newport's book, Digital Minimalism. And after I became a mother, and especially during the height of the COVID lockdowns, I was constantly grumpy, stressed, and took on a lot of negative moods and emotions. A big thing I learned was that I had what's called solitude deprivation. And the definition is a state in which you spend close to zero time alone with your own thoughts and are free from the input of other minds. If you are married and have children, there is a likelihood you may need some time alone. So, if you are feeling these emotions or have a hard time explaining why you feel stressed or why you're feeling certain things, take a look at the time you are spending by yourself as well as with others. If it's off balance, it's likely causing you stress. Oftentimes, when we feel this kind of stress, we resort to activities that put a band aid on this issue instead of understanding the true cause. This might mean that you have a glass of wine in the afternoon to de stress, or you stay in the car just a little bit longer so that you can scroll on social media. Unfortunately, some of these activities actually create a temporary feeling of control and lead to a more distracted mind. Oftentimes, when we put ourselves in front of social media, we end up listening to a lot of voices that really play on our fears, doubts, and other negative emotions. So it's not necessarily the solution to your solitude deprivation. Now, I consider myself an introvert and definitely want my alone time. But of course, when you have a baby, alone time is hard to come by, even if the baby is sleeping. Naps are never right on cue, and the possibility of the baby waking up at any moment can disrupt your time alone. Part of the idea of being in solitude is that it is a relief and a release from the demands of being around people. And children have a lot of demands, and it can be exhausting to anticipate those needs. So, how can you see if you have solitude deprivation? Well, the thing that you're going to do is to actually track your time and mark if they are solitary activities versus times where you are with people. And then monitor your mood and see if you can make connections. See if your mood changes if you change the amount of time you spend by yourself or if you change the amount you spend with people. And lastly, take a look at the time you are spending by yourself or with others. Unfortunately, being alone, browsing on social media might feel like a break, but it's actually not. One of the big benefits of solitude is that you give your mind a break from all of the stimuli around you. No social media, no kids asking for things, no other distractions. And solitude can make your emotions less intense. It doesn't change them, but it gives you this space to feel them. In solitude, you need to give yourself and your mind and heart a chance to reflect instead of constantly feeding it something. If you are interested in learning more about how solitude can benefit you, I recommend picking up this book. It's called Solitude: In Pursuit of a Singular Life in a Crowded World. And you have to find the right balance with what works for you when it comes to finding your time alone. Keep in mind, this also applies to children. So if you are observing your children feeling cranky after spending too much time with people, it might be time to institute a device free, quiet time at home. Solitude does require us to kind of sit down in our own thoughts, and this might be scary for a lot of people. But remember that this is the time for you to reflect, to really understand what's happening with your emotions. And you might need to do that more often and practice getting used to that type of thinking and self reflection. The next benefit of digital minimalism for new parents is that it reduces the demands of this perfect motherhood. Now, social media has certainly allowed us a glimpse of so many other people's lives, and in these glimpses, we see snapshots of a time when the whole family is smiling, matching outfits, messes cropped out and set aside. The reality, though, is that for many of us, motherhood is hard, it's exhausting, it's lonely, and it's kind of messy. We are humans after all, and it's so easy to get a little envious of all of these perfectly curated photos, and it's easy to put pressure on ourselves to match other people's lives. And this leads to exhausting comparisons that will leave you drained. There's certainly a challenge with social media in that it can connect you to others, but it can also bring up feelings of inadequacy as you compare and compete with other moms. When you reduce your time off of social media and be more intentional with your use of devices, you begin to focus on what's truly in front of you instead, perhaps, of the rush you may get from likes and comments from what you're doing on social media. Sometimes we may not be fully aware that we are either competing or comparing ourselves to other moms. So it's a subconscious reflection that we need to do. When you reduce your time off social media, you automatically reduce your exposure to other people's drama, which can do wonders for your well being. When you reduce your time off from social media, you automatically lessen exposure to advertising and marketing. Whether you realize it or not, unfortunately, everyone out there is trying to get you to buy something, an idea, a way of life, a quick fix. As a new parent, many of these posts may play on our insecurities, our fears, our doubts as a parent, which may lead us to buy things that assuage these doubts and insecurities. As you reduce your digital usage, consider focusing your time and energy on finding long term solutions for the challenges you are facing as a parent instead of buying this quick, one off, short term solutions that may leave you broke and back to square one. There are certainly a lot of positive things when it comes to social media. We can find community, support, share memories with loved ones, and communicate with others. But we do have to be mindful if the time we are spending on social media and our devices is actually leading to anxiety or depression in the pursuit of showcasing that we are a great mother, a great parent. I hope this video has been helpful so far. If you found value in it, consider giving it a like and sharing it with a friend. The last benefit of digital minimalism for parents is that it can help us model good technology use for our kids. And studies show that kids absorb a great amount of information in the first 1,000 days, and they continue to absorb information from the environment we give them. While it's so easy to say that kids born today are digital natives, they still need help processing all of the technology and information available to them. We still need to be gatekeepers. In order to model good technology use, we do need to understand ourselves why we are using the devices, why we are on social media, and how we are getting value from the digital technology today. It's hard to tell your kids to get off their phones when you are constantly on yours. We learned in the first part of this 3 video series that the technology we use today is specifically designed to be addicting. If, as adults, we can easily be manipulated by this technology, then imagine how dangerous some of this technology is to the developing brains of our children. Most of the technology out there teaches our brains to want constant stimuli. And unfortunately, this doesn't allow our brain to slow down. It doesn't allow our brain to focus. And it doesn't allow our brain to get bored, which is where normal creativity and normal attention and focus kind of begins. If, as adults, we don't give our brains the chance to be free from distraction, to have the ability to focus, then we also pass this on to our children, which means they will likely have a hard time focusing and paying attention, which can affect them in school and in the future. So, here are some tips to guide you as you start this journey. 1, make a list of your family values and map out how technology can support and enhance them. This may be understanding that you want these devices to communicate. So, how will you use your devices to communicate? It might be that you want to share photos with other family members. What's the best way for you to do that? By mapping it out, you know exactly why you're using certain technology devices or apps, and you have a clear focus on using those particular technology devices. 2 is to institute some rules at home when it comes to devices that family members can follow. This might be limiting screen time during the week, having a no devices before bed rule, no devices in the bedroom, no devices at any meals, and so forth. The rules will vary, the rules will change, so come up with those rules that you know your family needs and will likely follow. 3 is to do an opportunity cost analysis of your device or social media use. If you spend an hour on TikTok every day, that's a large chunk of your day dedicated to that platform. What else are you missing out on? What is the opportunity cost of you being on TikTok for an hour? And is that trade off beneficial for you? 4th thing you can do is to find a home for your devices so that you are not constantly reaching for them. If you know that you're expecting something specific, maybe you can set up specific alerts so that you can go to your device instead of having it constantly on you when you're at home or wherever you may be. Fifth thing you can do is to identify times during your day when you will be on your phone. This might be when the kids are at school or when you're just dropping them off at practice or when they're taking a nap. You can also focus your time on the things you need to do on your device versus being distracted by everything else around you. The next thing you can do is to set strict rules about bringing devices and phones to the bedroom. You want to protect the sanctity of your bedroom, the sanctity of the fact that you want to sleep well in your room. Now, a few years ago, I was doing nighttime feeds in our room, and it was certainly easy to just grab the phone and scroll while you're feeding the baby. What I would recommend if you're doing that and want to change that habit, create a small station where you can read magazines or books instead of scrolling on your phone, which can keep you awake longer than you really need to. Next tip is to use pen and paper to jot down lists or anything that you are going to do once you're on your phone. I think it's good for kids to see that there are other ways to do things besides automatically resorting to technology. And I think it's also fun for them to see that the parents are still using pen and paper to make lists and create things. The next tip is to consider getting a film camera to document some of the memories that you're having with your kids. This can certainly reduce the distractions from phone notifications because you won't be picking up your phone. You'll instead be picking up a camera that you'll use probably fairly infrequently. So consider that, or consider just enjoying the experience of this memory being created and watching your kids kind of live the life that you've given them. The next tip is to expose your kids to things outside of the algorithm. Now, algorithms kind of rule our lives now, whether we're watching Netflix, YouTube, Amazon Prime, and so much more. So it might be good to take your kids, let them browse around a bookstore, let them browse around the library, let them browse around places where an algorithm doesn't decide what they should watch next, what they should read next. I think this is a good way to step outside of the comfort zone and learn new things in the process. Another tip too is to make sure you spend that last hour of the day without devices or without social media. I think this can be a game changer because you are forced to really think about what you need to do the next day instead of scrolling through and getting distracted. So consider instituting that as part of your rules, where for the last hour of the day, you and family members are device free and social media free, and perhaps TV free. The last tip I will share is that you get honest with your needs for solitude. And this goes for yourself, your partner, and your children. We all need a break from each other, and understanding that can lead to better relationships and more fulfilling time with each other. That kids need solitude too. They need time to themselves, they need time to reflect and have some quiet time. So don't rush to put devices in front of them. Don't rush to keep them distracted. They need to be bored and they need to find their own creativity. Consider subscribing to Sisters for Fi if you want more videos related to personal finance, minimalism, sustainability, and motherhood. The first part of this video series was all about the digital attention economy and digital minimalism. You can check out that video here. And in the next few weeks, I will also post the third video in this series all about digital minimalism and personal finance. And that will be here. So I will see you next week for the next video. Bye.